Hey again, everyone. It's Jack Andrews, Kura's VP of Business Development. We're back with you again for our third and final part discussing the evolution of beta-glucuronidase in the laboratory. If you missed parts 1 and 2, no worries. I'm going to do a quick recap about who we are, getting from native enzymes to recombinants, introducing B1, and what kind of impacts the pandemic will have on testing labs. If anyone asks me what's Kura all about, these 4 commitments really define us quite well. They're not words that an executive team came up with in a conference room, sitting down saying, hey, this is what we're going to be all about. These are inherent characteristics that are woven into the fabric of Kura's culture. As new positions come open, we look for these values in the people we plan to hire. When you talk to people at Kura, you can feel the unlimited spirit because they possess an innate desire to be outstanding in everything they do. We are always looking for the potential, not for the hurdles. Unapologetic standards are closely tied to unlimited spirit because we don't give excuses. We desire to challenge ourselves, challenge the status quo, live outside our comfort zones, and drive innovation. Similarly, human connection and our give back will are closely associated. We understand that our customers are people, our suppliers are people, patients, partners, and employees. People and community are the driving force of life. The employees at Kura are in charge of how 2% of revenue each year is given back to the community. We never see this as a charity. We all believe this is an added benefit for doing a job well done. Sticking to those 4 commitments is a perfect roadmap to success. We want to provide laboratories the best possible analytical enzymes. The truth is, your laboratory's results impact real people, and that's why we believe drug testing is never routine. Your work and your results impact people's lives. We are determined to make drug analysis simple, fast, and precise for you. So you'll see the Findon logo on all these slides and may wonder, what's that all about? So Kura Biotech has 3 areas of expertise: genetics, proteomics, and toxicology. Likewise, we have 3 brands: Avenir, Blicka, and Findon. Findon is the toxicology brand and the group of people at Kura that support your industry. Our ISO 9001 facility is the largest producer of beta-glucuronidase in the world, supplying material to test approximately 2 million samples each month in the world's largest laboratories, right down to the smallest, across 15 different countries. So this slide recaps part 1 and part 2, where we transition from very crude extracts on the far left through Kura's genetically selected and partially purified red abalone called BG100, entering in the recombinant market, and introducing BG Turbo on the far right. I can say, before I was on the sales and marketing side of science, I spent 15 years in the lab, at the bench, and eventually running a couple labs. I've seen a lot of vendors, and I've heard a lot of sales presentations. I'm very proud to be at Kura because we don't just say we want to provide laboratories with the best possible product. We're endeavoring to deliver. It's evidenced here. Our mission dictates that if we can do better, we have to. That brings us to, what's tomorrow look like? Yesterday, I explained our strategy of creating a proprietary genomic database to clone from, fusing nature and science. The last 2 words on this slide are expert knowledge. In order to succeed, we know, and we've made investments in genomic and expression experts, as well as building bioinformatics and directed evolution teams to push things as far as we possibly can. In the fall of 2019, we introduced a new product as a result of all of that work named B1. So first, let's look at a classic approach to hydrolysis, right? So this is how it happens in the laboratory. Technicians or analysts come in, they whirl about combining sample, enzyme, buffer, and internal standard. Then the test tubes or the plate gets moved off to some type of heat source. There, the analysts stop and wait. Then After the incubation period, they scramble around from the heater, making further preparations before we get to the autosampler. Our idea with B1 was simple. Let's streamline the process. Simply combine the sample internal standard B1 and then go straight to the autosampler. Well, what is this B1? B1 can be considered an all-in-one hydrolysis solution. It's an enhanced purified recombinant beta-glucuronidase developed specifically for speed and thermal stability. Its purity is perfect for dilute and shoot types of methods. It has been specifically developed to run reactions at room temperature, and we've stabilized the enzyme in reaction buffer. This eliminates the need to make, pH, or add supplemental buffers. The thermal stability is such that you can leave it out for up to 3 months without worrying about activity degradation. One very important observation we've seen in the past 4 to 5 years was a lot of wasted enzyme. Analysts or technicians would remove enzyme to execute on the day's activities and often remove far more than they needed. That excess was thrown away. With B1, there's no need to throw away that product every day. Its thermal stability allows you to use every drop removed from the bottle. Here's another way to look at some of the hurdles in the laboratory. B1 can reduce your prep time because it already comes in the buffer. You can get your samples to the LCMS faster because the incubation is only 5 minutes. There's no need for an interrupted operation if you use a liquid handler because you can leave the product right on the deck. And then, who used the incubator last? What temperature is it at? That's no longer a worry because reactions now run at room temperature. And most importantly, for those people concerned with lab expenditure, is the assurance that you can use every bit of the product you buy. Okay, that's great, but does it work? So Nick Chestera presented earlier this year. He spiked codeine 6-glucuronide at 500 and 5,000 nanograms per mil and reported the conversion to codeine. He stopped the reaction at 5, 15, 30, and 45 minutes. We can see at the lower concentration, there's no problem completing the reaction in under 5 minutes. And at the higher concentrations, he needed about 10 minutes to achieve 80% conversion. Well, codeine 6-glucuronide is one of the most difficult analytes we hydrolyze. How does it fare against some other common analytes? Here's a look at recovery for a variety of compounds. Samples were fortified with 2,500 nanograms per mil of the glucuronide. Reaction vessels were left at room temperature for 5 minutes, and we can see recoveries for B1 versus BG Turbo, as well as other recombinants that were available on the market. So I will have to note, so B1 incubations are done at 5 minutes at room temperature. The incubation for the other recombinants was done at the optimal heat as prescribed by the manufacturer. This is very exciting data for us. With further QC support, we launched B1 at the Society of Forensic Tox meeting in the fall of 2019. Several early adopters have executed rigorous equivalency studies and validations prepping for production methods. It was really interesting to witness the wide variety of interested labs. We have some nonstop labs that are running 3 shifts 7 days a week, as well as small labs that process 1 batch a week. Those labs will have already reported on hundreds of thousands of patient samples in 2020. Well, it wouldn't be 2020 if we didn't talk about the pandemic in some way. Our business is directly related to the number of samples that laboratories test, so naturally we're interested in how the pandemic is impacting the number of samples seen in your laboratories. Unfortunately, it was far too easy to find data on how the pandemic is impacting drug use and abuse in a negative way. We were quickly reading reports indicating we should expect sample numbers for clinical and forensic labs to go up, maybe dramatically. Even before news of the virus, we knew drug use on a global scale was on the rise, 30% increase from 2009 to 2018. And some experts were quoted as saying this increase could be the equivalent of the 2008 economic crisis. In July, the New York Times pointed to a 13% rise in drug deaths this year over last. Another article by Brianna Ellie in July again cited the emergency medical service calls to overdose situations jumped by as much as 50% in some areas. Numbers from the Overdose Detection and Mapping Application Program provided by the Washington-Baltimore High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area notes a 17.5% increase in the suspected overdose submissions before and after the declaration of a national emergency. And I don't think anyone would be surprised to hear that it's not just drugs, but alcohol and many forms of addiction that are on the rise. So how can B1 help? Well, we believe if you save time to analysis with shorter incubation times, that'll translate into increased throughput. Streamlining your workflow, i.e. removing the supplemental buffer and stopping moving samples into and out of a heat source, can reduce labor cost and most importantly, reduce processing errors. If needed, conversion of manual to automated pipetting systems are seamless, and no one wants to waste money or reagents needlessly. You know, there's nothing better from hearing from people that actually use the product every day. Please let me introduce you to Katarina and Cassian. They know, use B1 every day.
Hello, my name is Katarina.
And I am Cassian, and we're from Westox Labs. Westox is a toxicology laboratory located in Irvine, California.
Currently, we're using simple dilution with enzyme glucuronide for sample prep.
We like that Cura B1 enzyme is clear and free of sediments. Since switching to B1, our columns have lasted longer and our instruments require less maintenance overall.
Most importantly, using B1 has cut our sample prep time in half. We can process twice as many samples in the same amount of time using our automated liquid handler. Our staff loves it.
Cura B1 is an affordable solution for sample prep that has made our labs much easier. Also, on the data analysis side, our chromatography has never looked better.
Cura reps are very knowledgeable when it comes to chemistry and have been great help to Westox in configuring the proper volumes specific to our sample prep.
We highly recommend Cura B1 enzyme.
Thank you.
I love to see when a vision for a product becomes a reality and useful to real people. Let me wrap up with these 3 points. Global drug use abuse is going to worsen. We have heard industry experts use phrases like, the pandemic may trigger a 5th wave of the opioid crisis. We all understand our individual lab's mission for drug testing and how it is vital to each of our communities. Labs may not be able to buy new mass specs or expensive robots, but we can be more efficient using technologies that optimize workflows and use high-performance consumables like B1. With that, the references will be available here, and I'll finally say thank you again for your attention today. Thank you to the organizers for having us. As always, hit us up on your favorite social media and contact us directly, either through the website at curabiotech.com, or you always have my email, and I'm available at j.andrews@curabiotech.com. Cheers, everyone.